Good.
All right. So this is Andy from Tide Assets. So we're going to be doing a quick interview, I guess, about your business, how you come up, all for your business plan, and all that fun stuff. All right. Okay. So the first question is going to be, how did you come up with that name? It's a great name. How did you come up with it?
Well, the thing was actually came out as a joke. I actually was working at Loblaws at the time, and I was working in an office job. I was already looking into getting in a business at that time, and I came up with some names just as a joke to my colleagues. I said, I've always been into the fitness thing. I always wanted to target the women 30 to 50 age range. So, what about doing a boot camp called the Cougar Camp? So they said, no, Andy, you can't do that. And of course, I wasn't being serious. So I said, how about tight asses? And they said, no, we can't do that either. That's just really offensive. So I said, what about tight assets then? That's how it stuck. They liked the name. And I kept it. We tried doing a little bit of a survey around just to see how the response was for that name. And people loved it. We kept it.
For the process of developing your business, like how easy or like how difficult was it to start the business itself?
Well, as a mobile trainer, it's actually really quite easy. It's just looking at your different avenues and depending on what you want to do with it. I actually started out just doing a bit of research and running it as a sole proprietorship first. As a sole proprietorship, there's different steps you can take. You can just be yourself, or you can go to the Alberta registries and register a name for yourself. So I registered the Tight Assets name, not as an incorporation, but just as a name to use under Alberta registries. Then Sean and Cynthia at the time got involved, so we decided to turn it into a incorporation. Again, you can also do different roles as well. You can do a partnership, but partnership's like a marriage. The incorporation seemed like a safer bet to go with, so that we can separate ourselves from the business.
Okay, makes sense. So how did you get your funding? Was it a lot of money to start the business, or did you take out a loan?
No, it was just out-of-pocket money. Different things that we had to pay for in the beginning. We paid for the incorporation fees, but we had a lawyer do that, so we had the lawyer fees to look after. Aside from that, it was just any loose equipment that you want to carry around with you. And that was it. So relatively low startup costs. The only other thing that you probably look at is probably marketing costs, how much money you want to spend on marketing, what kind of marketing you want to do. Because everything costs money in the end. You want a professional website done, that's going to cost money. You want a logo design done, that's going to cost money. You'll have to pay for just about everything there.
For right now, what is your main target for your marketing?
Our main target is still that women, 30 to 50 annual.
So you mentioned you have partners. Like, what do you?
How did you find those partners? Were they any graduates? Or?
Well, we actually started the company while we were in school. So the company actually fully incorporated after we graduated.
How do you market mostly? How do you get your name out there?
Well, I've got different media streams going. We've got social media. We've got a website that was created. We do mail advertisements. Canada Post is actually really cheap way of targeting specific groups because it can target specific areas or specific buildings within a postal code. And it's relatively cheap for unsolicited mail. Other things we do is I also got vehicle deck design, which actually showed really good responses from the vehicle decals.
Okay. Another one would be, do you find like technology is very beneficial in our developing business and like working as a trainer?
Yes, technology can be good. Some of the things I do nowadays, for example, might be training clients to reach their target times for runs or races. And a good way of doing that is just to actually calculate the pace that they need to go at. You can download apps so easily for things like your cell phones. I have a couple people running a metronome playing on the background for the pace I want to run at to make sure they hit their times. And that's calculated based on stride length and time. So yes, technology can definitely be beneficial. Cell phones are also very good for taking videos. So if you've got different people that you want to do postural assessments on, I've actually had my best friend make me a app specifically for me with a grid on it so that I can look at someone doing their squats with a grid overlay on top.
Since you're a mobile trainer, do you have any specific equipment?
Well, it depends on what the clients are looking for, and it depends on what type of clients you have. Some people have everything under the sun in their home, or will buy whatever you ask them to get. Or if you show them a piece of equipment and they see you training with it, they'll probably end up getting it as well. So it really depends on who you're targeting. So if you're targeting people that have more disposable income, they're most likely going to get whatever they need in order to do that job. In the same case, though, I do have some other clients that are in the other end of the spectrum as well. And sometimes you'll have to use a little bit more of your curiosity, not your curiosity, but your imagination, and come up with exercises using things in the environment, which is never short of supply. Water bottles, milk jugs, and things like that. They actually make great weights. You've got towels, you've got structures that are all around them, stairs, everything. You can vary exercises for various difficulties without purchasing a single piece of equipment.
Out of the equipment that you do use, what is like one thing that you use the most?
Actually, there is no real thing that I use the most. The body weight, I'd have to say, is the most that I use on mobile clients.
Okay. So do you go to any gyms, or do you just go directly to classes?
I get both. Really, again, depends on your client's preferences. I find that more people actually prefer training in their homes if they're looking for a mobile trainer. But you do get one or two that prefer to be in a public facility just because they like the atmosphere. So I do a lot of training throughout the city, in anywhere from Londonderry to Woolgar, or even in Millennium Place.
So you don't really have a specific area that you train, you go all over the city?
I try to keep everything on the same road, but one of the things I've learned over time, I actually shot myself in the foot in the beginning, is to be too selective in the beginning. You can always pick and choose your clients, but you got to make sure you have the base first. If you don't do that, you're going to find yourself started in the first year.
How much time do you find yourself traveling, like for spending time traveling for training?
I would say it's probably about 1-to-1.
1-to-1?
Do you spend a lot of money on gas-wise? Where, I guess, as you're a mobile trainer, a lot of your biggest expense will probably be gas?
Actually, no, the gas isn't too bad. It's, I would have to say, more marketing media that is a little bit more expensive. So if you want some better end marketing on professional photos or getting decals or things like that, that tend to cost a little bit more money. Getting a logo designed by a professional designer, you're looking at spending about $1,000 just for the logo.
Insurance-wise, do you just have one type of insurance, or do you have more than one?
Well, with insurance, there's going to be different ways of going about that, depending on the agencies you certify under. CSEP covers for $3 million, I believe, but I do recommend getting extra insurance on top of that. There's different companies that will look at that, like SportsCan, for example. It is worth it to get the extra bit of insurance because your CSEP insurance will cover for the scope of practice within the CSEP CPT, which tends to be very limiting on what you can actually do with it. So if you want to do your corrective exercise protocols from NASM, if you do and someone gets hurt, you're not covered for it because CSUP will not recognize that.
So, I guess probably our last question would be, what would you recommend for new personal trainers starting up their business? What would be like good steps to have?
Because for me personally, I want to do mobile training on top of training in the gym. So what would be the best way to start?
Well, the things you got to look at is really how much money are you willing to put out? Where can you start? What is your existing clientele base, or not so much clientele base, but what are your connections? What kind of people do you know? Can they help you get people? Other things to look at are, do you have a conflict of interest with, if you're working in a gym, will they be okay with you running a business on the side, or will they see that as conflict of interest? So I'm still working for the city of St. Albert, and that was one of the things that I talked about with them before they hired me, was whether or not they were okay with me running a business on the side. I didn't see a problem with that, so that worked out. But a lot of the times you'll go into some places, so you try to go to World Health, for example, they don't want to see you doing any outside training whatsoever. They want you solely to work with them in that field. So that's probably going to be your biggest obstacle, is if you still need that steady income, whether or not you're going to be able to do it within your field. Following that, money is really not a big issue if you're starting out as a mobile trainer, because all you really need is yourself, your knowledge, and means of transport, as well as insurance, to provide to get that extra service for safety.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Very informative.
Yeah,
Helped me out a lot for sure for where I want to start.
Especially getting new ideas, new perspectives, and positive, jealous, all those.
Yeah, definitely. You always think about your environment, everything you can use under the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you can manipulate it somehow, and you get the body move safely around it, then you're fine.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.